Going to call this meeting to order. And good morning, and thank you for taking time away from your busy schedules to be with us as we hold this Agenda 21 EPA hearing today.
World order. What is this agenda? The agenda is really the Communist Manifesto for the 21st century, and it is what we have replaced our Constitution with.
Agenda 21 advocates an end to national sovereignty, abolition of private property, restructure of the family unit, increasing limitations and restrictions on mobility and individual opportunities, and abandonment of the constitutional protection of our inalienable rights as described in the Declaration of Independence.
The idea is to get us out of our cars, out of our private property, into high-density housing, and with a transit system as our basis of moving around, or bicycling and walking. That's
Agenda 21 is non-binding simply because there has been no act of Congress and no act of the legislature to bind us to it. Up to us to insist that our elected representatives stand up and resist.
Arizona was founded with a pioneer spirit and a sense that personal hard works and focus on a mission will promote success and a measure of freedom beyond what is handed to us by our forefathers. There is a growing sense among citizens in our state that our way of life, our representative form of government and home rule, and our abilities to work hard and succeed are under attack by a far-reaching and intrusive federal government. One could conclude that this form of threat on the people is nothing short of terrorism itself.
Now, committee, we have to decide who we are. Are we going to continue to stand up for the American principles that made us great? Are we going to start learning what those principles are, relearning them? Are we going to stand up against the universities that teach these constant other isms to the young people and refuse to teach Americanism? Are we going to start calling out our elected officials who pledge allegiance to the flag, raise their arm that they are going to defend the Constitution of the United States, and then go to work to destroy it by using these principles? These principles.
Heather, can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
Good, thank you. One question that a number of things you brought up I had questions about. You talked about the right-of-way for rail through the Central Valley. I'm familiar that there's also a large interstate that goes through the Central Valley, which has also disrupted farmland since it was built. That's I-5. And in fact, the entire interstate highway system around the country has involved a lot of right-of-way intrusion on primarily farmlands. Do you object to right-of-way for interstate highways?
No, that's not what no, I don't.
Okay.
But that's not, no, I don't at all. And I think there does need to be planning. I'm not against planning for, highways and things like that. The thing is that we are...
You also mentioned about these open space projects in the foothills around the Central Valley. Were spurred in large part by the Department of Fish and Game. Isn't that something that's supported by hunters? Because there is a concern that infringement by urban areas upon wildland areas has cut down on the ability of hunters to pursue their hunting. Isn't that one of the main reasons they're doing that?
I'm sorry, isn't that what?
Isn't that one of the main reasons they're doing that, is to ensure that the wildlife that is going to be available and sustainable for hunters to be able to harvest?
Well, yes.
Is California...
I believe the reason they do that is because that if you don't do that, there is so much demand for housing, high-density housing within that area of the transit, within a half mile of a transit line, that if you don't include something, that it'll be priced out of range of normal people to live there. I mean, the bottom line is that this is people want this choice, I think. That's what's come down to it. You don't believe in freedom of choice? So the audience apparently does not believe we should have the choice of where we want to live, because...
Come on, we've been putting people on the Supreme Court who are really progressive socialists. Fifth objective, a new world order. New world order, people. Create a new world order. Moving towards a new world order. This new world order, establishing of a new world order. Here's another favorite of mine. We must establish a new world order.
I'm a tree hugger. I hug them right before I come down. Please refrain from laughing and clapping. But here in Arizona, if you do have your Colt 45, feel free to shoot it in the air.
I have 19 grandchildren. I want them to have what I remember 50 years ago, living in Heber, when those log trucks were running. And people had the right to live where they wanted to live and do what they wanted to do and create something for their families. We have lost that.
Is there any case in which you think the federal regulations can be good? Because I've been looking back at, and let me talk to, please, Supervisor.
Keep order, please.
Not all environmental law has been a boondoggle for us, has it? And I grew up back east where the Hudson River, I mean, if you wanted to kill your dog, you just let him go swim in it.
Constitutionally, we didn't do it correctly.
Do you know why they never have to protect cattle? Because people own them. He says, if you want to save the whales, give them to somebody.
You need to tell your sheriffs that if the Forest Service comes in or any federal government entity comes in and starts closing your roads, the roads that are vital to your counties, you tell your sheriff to get out there with a bolt cutter and open those roads back up. If you ever saw a line in the sand, this is one. And we need to come together and we need to fight back and push back.
And then there's the privilege of giving or withholding our money. We are a contributing state, not a borrowing state. Chapters, the publication of Agenda 21, the United Nations lays out the goals and objectives for the installation of a global standard for education. These have manifested themselves in the creation of what the U.S. standards call Common Core. Make no mistake, these are not Arizona standards, nor are they U.S. standards. They were supposedly developed by the National Governors Association, a private organization, but they and we were duped and into adopting these standards through subversion, intimidation,